Okay, you can be seated. All right, Brother Colston.
Okay. Nice to see you again today. Johnny Colston, Associate Pastor. Glad to be with you. Glad to have you here. Just this reminder, those of you who need to make your return flight arrangements, better do that today. Room 311. Attending funerals in the area. Here's a soul-winning opportunity. You got to listen to this. Someone in your church ought to be specially trained to attend funerals in the area. Now there is just a great deal of opportunity in this. In the first place, they could attend the visitation hours. Some people call these times wakes. I was never familiar with that term until I came to this area. Anyway, you should go to the visitation hours, and then at that time you can just sort of mix and mingle with people. It's easy to spot those who are sort of alone after visiting some with the family and viewing the corpse. Then they may have a seat there in the area, the waiting area, and you often see folks kind of by themselves. It's easy to go up to them and start a conversation, and of course talk to them about their very own destiny someday. Everybody's got to leave the world, and it's best that we leave it hand in hand with Jesus, isn't it? The Bible, we see that Jesus showed compassion, and it's best to have a compassionate kind of person who would do this sort of thing to help the folks who have suffered losses and whose family members have passed away. And so there at the funeral home during visitation hours, watch for opportunities to witness. There's something else you can do. You can stand outside the door and pass out tracts. You can get away with that a lot easier at a funeral home than you can most any other place. Folks are tendered by the occasion about the circumstances, and folks will readily receive a tract. I think a great deal more so than under most cases. We had a family in this church for years. A few of the family members remain, others have moved away. We had a family in this church for years who were witnessed to at a funeral home. One of our men was witnessing, passing out tracts at the funeral home, and so that family got entrenched in this church. They became a vital part of this church, and like I say, some of the family members remain with us yet, and so it can be beneficial. The next place, go to the funeral itself. It's a good idea to get there early as people are gathering. Again, find people who are perhaps seated in an isolated kind of way, and go up to them and strike up a conversation, and perhaps even as much as a half hour before the funeral begins. A lot of early birds that come to places of this sort and witness to the folks who arrive early. Then watch for opportunities, of course, to demonstrate the fact of Christian compassion and care. Once again, it's the type of person you need who can do that and who will be best suited to this kind of a ministry. Now, folks, at this time of loss and grief are pretty tender. It's a matter of kind of striking while the iron is hot. And you can reach folks and be of help to people in this way. I can imagine that in some cases, folks might be a little suspicious about a stranger. They know their own family members, they know their own friends. Here comes somebody, complete stranger. Who are you and what are you doing here? That could happen. And you're not going to be warmly received every place you go under any circumstance or every circumstance. And but if that were the case, you could simply say, well, I'm just Joe Doe here from Kokomo, and I go to the First Baptist Church, and I've been specially trained to care about folks who have a time of need such as this, and I was just trying to help. And it's especially trained. Where you get training like that, get a Bible; it'll train you. And be compassionate, just like Jesus was compassionate, and help these dear people. And it could be that their loved one who's passed away is in heaven. It could be that they aren't. But it could be that someone there would just be ripe for the picking as far as making a decision for the Lord. And you could help. Thank you.
I hope you're getting it this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason we have you here is to give you ideas on how you can become a better soul winner and how your church can reach out to different people, different circumstances, different ideas on soul winning. So many of the times we get stuck in a rut, and then that rut gets deeper, and sometimes it's tough to get out of that rut, and you get discouraged. The reason you get discouraged is because you haven't won anybody in a while. So we're giving you ideas to where you can go out and win somebody different. Another different idea that I'm going to give you is to witness to folks leaving town. Now, this isn't Bucky Tucker's Highways and Hedges, where you're going to stand out in the middle of the road and witness to the cars as they pass by. This is an idea that